Welcome to another episode of the Intentional Health for Women podcast. I'm your host, Garrett GQ Query, and today we are going to be joined by a good friend, colleague, Jared. Jared is the owner of Altered Athletics in Scottsdale, Arizona. It is a small group training facility specifically tailored to women only. Unlike so many other health and fitness clubs, etc., Jared tailors to women specifically for strength and conditioning training, not just high intensity interval workouts with loads and loads of cardio and light weights. In this episode, we discuss multiple factors of how strong women truly are. The fact that a lot of women coming from different walks of life, oftentimes like undereat majority of their week, only to end up ruining their nutrition over the course of the weekend. We dive into the importance of spirituality and the foundations that him and his new wife have created as they are 10 weeks out from welcoming their first baby girl into the world, and how much it has impacted the quality of their relationship and how they know that it's going to impact their ability to lead their family through health and fitness as a foundational piece. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Welcome to another Intentional Health for Women podcast. I'm your host, Garrett GQ Query. I have my guest here today, Jared from Altered Athletics. Myself and Jared have worked alongside of each other since 2020 was when we would have originally met. And uniquely, both of us are coaches to women. Jared has continued down the path of small group coaching for women and has a year now?
About 16 months.
Yeah, 16 months. Opened his own facility specifically tailoring to women strength training in a small group setting here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I know the answer to this question, or if I do, I've forgot the answer to this question. Like, what was it for you specifically tailoring to women in the space?
Yeah. So I'll be fully transparent. And this is a question that I've been asked multiple times over the past year. And I need to come up with a better story because there's not really anything too special about it.
Yeah.
But what happened was when I got back to the United States, I traveled for an entire year. I coached strength and conditioning in Australia for 6 months. Then I went and I traveled abroad for an additional 6 months went to 17 different countries, documented fitness around the world in each country. And then when I got back, I was like, okay, I'm ready to start my business. I'll give you a little background on that if you don't mind real quick. So absolutely. I planned on moving to LA to start acting. So my whole point of starting my business was to just fund my move to LA. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start a personal training business. I'll gain some clients and then I'll be able to move out to LA. Mm-hmm. And I started this training business, and pretty much I met Rachel Price, who was, at the time she was, a pretty big fitness influencer, phenomenal person. And she started creating, Instagram videos with me, because in my head, I was thinking, okay, how are you going to grow this personal training business? Obviously social media is huge. How are you going to get big on social media? At the time, my thought was sex sells. Okay. So you got to get a female to help you, shoot tutorial videos. I was good on camera. So I was like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. So Rachel started shooting a bunch of videos of me. She had no reason to do that. Yeah. Like she just did it out of the goodness of her heart. Like she had 200,000 followers. I was this, no-name guy. I asked her if she would model for me. She said, absolutely, for some reason. Mm-hmm. And so we ended up just making a bunch of videos, and, the videos ended up being more so tailored to women. Like they were, glute training videos. Mm-hmm. Just again, more exercises and more tutorials tailored towards women. So, I got one female client, one turned into 10 turned into 20 turned into 100. And then it just was only females. Yep. And I hardly ever got male inquiries. Like I think I could probably count on one hand in the first 3 years of business how many male inquiries I got. Right. So, Rachel and I sat down one day and I clearly remember the conversation, and she was like, look, Jared, you've got to make this a women's only training company. Yeah. And I think the reason why it was a women's only training company was because, you know, not to boast, but I just think that I did a good job in the beginning, me alone, of just making women feel comfortable and in the training environment. You know what I mean? And I never saw it as anything different from training a man to a woman. Like, and I still train women the same exact way that I train men. You know what I mean? I push them really hard. You know what I mean? I motivate them, I support them, and we encourage them. You know what I mean? Like, that's all we do. Like, there's nothing different compared to training, for me, how I've always looked at it, training men versus women.
Right.
And, you know, obviously over time, you know, we brought on trainers, and we just instilled that same mentality into all the trainers that we've worked with. And then we're obviously able to grow and, you know, build our clientele. So, I mean, long story short, it just is just how it panned out, you know, but now I've realized, especially with the demographic of women that we work with now, like 30 to 50 years old, that being the main demographic, like they need a safe space where they can come to work out, not have to worry about being judged, not have to have gym anxiety, can just be in a group, in a community, in a group of women who will support them and motivate them without having to worry about all the external things.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's just so crucial. You know, I've had a couple conversations recently, had some guests on the show, and, you know, that maybe found fitness through CrossFit, and very similar. Like, if you look across like the demographics of fitness, everything from Orange Theory to F45 to CrossFit, and why it had such a cult-like following is, and typically a cult-like following by women, is because of exactly that. They oftentimes are intimidated to walk into a big box gym, to potentially be judged, to potentially be uncomfortably asked out on a date, or told that they're doing something wrong. And so they find these communities. And, you know, that's something that I think you've done a really incredible job at, as far as creating that community. But I think one thing that I really do appreciate and commend you for, because you know a lot of my thoughts and feelings around training women, and you know, we've done some mentorship, like, and talked about a lot of these things as far as, you know, what women are really strong, and you're bringing a training style to the female community that isn't CrossFit, that isn't Orange Theory and F45, like light weights, burn. Like, you are challenging what we both talk about all the time is our athletes, you know, because anybody who's coming into the gym, who's consistently picking up weight, like, you're an athlete now. You're not just a mom. You're not just a busy professional. You're not just a wife. Like, you're an athlete, and you're coming in, and we're here to help you get really, really strong.
1,000%. I can agree with that more.
I think you'll really agree with this, is like, pound for pound, women are strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think most women have no idea what they're truly capable of achieving. You know what I mean? Like, especially because of the negative connotation of weightlifting in the past, you know, it not being such a big movement, you know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, women don't even have an idea of what they're capable of achieving. That's why it's so crucial for them to have someone that can guide them and push them and motivate them inside the gym, to show them, like, look, you're way stronger than you think you are. You know what I mean? Like, the moment they step into the facility and they start lifting a weight, they start, you know, doing a squat, doing a, you know, deadlift, whatever it may be, and they realize that they're able to do it, something clicks in their head and they're like, whoa, like, this is addicting. You know what I mean? Like, this makes me feel strong. This makes me feel empowered. And it gives them a level of confidence that they've never even experienced before. So,
and talk about, I think this would be a great topic that it just kind of popped into my head, is, you know, over the years working in the setting that you've worked in and you've created, talk about how that impacts women from, first and foremost, like a professional standpoint.
Oh my God.
Because I know you've had so many women come through your gym that have spent years with you. That you've watched them grow and evolve and blossom
well, that's like the biggest thing that I always tell people. Like, when people come in to get signed up for training with us, I tell them, don't think about what fitness is going to do, what this change is going to do for you physically. Think about what it's going to do for every other aspect of your life. Like for me, fitness changed the entire trajectory of my life. Like
100%.
when I was younger, I did a lot of drugs, sold a lot of drugs, drank a lot. I was going down a very dark path. Luckily, I had parents who set me on the right track.
Mhm.
And I was able to find fitness as the alternative. And that was when I was a senior in high school. So ultimately, I don't know I know you're a spiritual person. I'm a spiritual person.
Yeah.
Obviously, God is the one who, led me down that path.
Right.
But he spoke through my parents and, told them, look, you need to guide Jared and you need to put him onto a different path. And again, luckily, I found fitness. And that, like, just thinking about that change that happened when I was a senior in high school, like my parents making that decision to hold the line and be like, look, you either have this or you have this. What's it going to be? And, me making the decision, like now I had the opportunity, like I said, to go and travel the world and document fitness around the world, live in Australia, went to NAU, coached the NAU powerlifting team, now own my own gym, have the most beautiful wife, have a baby on the way. Like all of these things happened because I chose to get into fitness and working out. You know what I mean? So it's like when I'm signing people up for training, when we're getting people signed up to start training with us, I am so confident in our program that it will not just only change their physical well-being, but every other aspect of their life. And you're right. Like I have seen so many women just take off in so many other areas of your life, whether that be, becoming the mom that they know that they're meant to be, setting the example for their kid or becoming the business owner that they know they're meant to be. I've had a girl start her own business, like literally come to me and be like, Jared, your training program gave me the confidence to step out of the salon that I was working in and go start my own salon.
Yes.
Like things like that. And that's real transformation. You know what I mean? Like that's confidence that cannot be gained from anything else. Like in my opinion, other than someone taking full control of their health, taking full control of their body and being like, this is the number one priority. This is what matters the most.
And I think that's such an important topic. And I'm really glad that you went there. Is fitness is so actually this would be a good opportunity to, we're going to kind of catch up while we're doing this podcast. So I discovered last November that I basically went 8 years undiagnosed hypothyroid. And I lived day in and day out, like majority of the years that you've known me, I lived day in and day out in a state of chronic fatigue.
Wow.
Like crippling.
Yeah.
And I did the best that I could. And a lot of people really didn't know.
Yeah.
At all. And
I wouldn't have been able to know.
Because of that, it really like messed up like a lot of like relationships in my life because I wasn't able to be super present all of the time because of just pure lack of energy. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't be where I am today. I would have never probably discovered the problem. I would have never, like, there's so many things if I didn't have fitness, mm-hmm. right? Like if I didn't have fitness, I would have never went from 400 pounds to what I am today.
Yeah.
If I didn't have fitness, I would have never started my business. I would have never moved to Arizona. Like there's so many, foundational pieces of like fitness truly is the foundation for
everything,
men and women to show up as the best version of themselves
100%.
In all seasons of life, whether it be your career, whether it be as a husband or a wife, whether it be as a parent. And something that has really been on my heart over the last year as like I've watched you and your beautiful wife get married and now have a baby girl on the way. Mm-hmm. My best friend and his beautiful wife, they just had their baby girl back in June.
Wow.
Another really great friend of mine, they had their baby October 31st of last year. So she's almost a year. Like all of these people, influential men in my life who are not only married, but having children there's nothing, I could not think of a greater purpose on my life than to be a great husband and a great father. Mm. And I know that the foundation of all of that is my health and fitness mm-hmm. and my faith in God.
1000%.
Period.
Yeah.
And so it's so important. Like health and fitness is everything because mm-hmm. if you don't have that,
you have nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And we've both seen it. And here's another like fun topic that we can expand on is how amazed, like you've gotten to a point in your career, a lot like mine, where it's like transformations, like physical transformations are a dime a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
We see it all the time.
Yeah.
The real value as a coach is watching those people grow and evolve outside of the gym,
Mm-hmm.
beyond the physicality.
Yeah. Yeah.
How amazing is it to receive those text messages like the girl who opened her own salon,
Mm-hmm.
and where is she today?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure it's or started her own business, and I don't know if she has her own salon yet.
Yeah.
But like, I know I can speak on my end is like, that's the greatest messages.
100%. Absolutely. Like you're so right. And like, just to touch on what you were talking about before too, like if you don't have your health, you have nothing else. And that's why it mind blows me. And I can't understand why people put anything before it. Like why it is not the number one priority on every single person's list. Because again, like if you don't have your health, you can't show up for your kids the best that you possibly can. You can't show up at your job the best you possibly can. You can't show up for anyone the way that you should be showing up for them if you don't have your health. And also, people don't even realize that they're not in a conducive state to be the best version of themselves, because like they might be like, okay, my health is where it is right now. I show up for my kids the way that I show up for my kids. I show up for my wife the way that I show up for my wife. But they don't even know that it could be 10 times better if they felt better about themselves. You know what I mean? They don't realize that by them not being in great shape, by them not feeling good, that it is messing with the way that they are able to show up on a daily basis. They've just accepted it. Like, this is just how it is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, if only people could understand, and if only people could experience what it's like to be a fit and healthy person, and then show up in other areas of your life, then they'd be like, whoa, I had the blinders on this entire time. Like, I thought this was the best, but this over here is just on a different level. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, it just blows my mind. I can't even, like, it's so hard to even like have a conversation about it. Yep. How people don't understand how important their health is and their fitness is. You know what I mean? It's like, and you know, I'm sure you've seen it too in your family, but like, I have family members who are really overweight. I have family members who are extremely fit and healthy. And the quality of life compared to from the person who is extremely fit and healthy versus the person who is extremely overweight, and the age is the same, is just on a different level. Like, you know what I mean? Like the person who is extremely overweight and extremely unhealthy, depressed, anxiety, never leaves the house, you know, just low quality of life. The person who takes care of themselves, same age, in their 70s, constantly doing things on a daily basis. Relationships are great. You know, still experiencing new things. Like, energy levels are phenomenal. Like, no depression, no anxiety. Like, you know, and I'm not inside that person's head, so I don't know if that is how it is all the time. But like, from what I can see, you know what I mean? It's like,
and probably very minimal, if any, medication.
Exactly. And like, and it's just like, it's night and day how, and it's just crazy how they're the same age, but just living two completely different lives, because one chose to take care of their health and one chose not to. And yeah, I mean, you're right when you touching on the transformations outside of the gym. Like, seeing someone achieve the transformation, the physical transformation, is still phenomenal every time.
100%.
Like, and I'm sure you agree with that too. But yes, like the other changes, like the changes that you see going on outside of the gym, or the things that, you know, you can tell are happening to the person internally, like, again, the confidence, like that is just like so much more rewarding, like so much more rewarding.
So much more rewarding. And it really makes, you know, not to be woe is me, like, this career is hard. It is not for the faint of heart. Because, you know, I had a conversation with one of my mentors that I did like one-to-one mentorship. And I think we might have talked about this, me and you, at some point, is like, if I could go back, I would do like a trade. Like, I'd go be like an HVAC guy or plumbing or something, because those businesses are not easy to scale, but they're mind-numbingly simple to scale.
Yeah.
Whereas like we both can agree when it comes to health and fitness, like it's not as easy because you're dealing, and especially we both chose to work with women, like we're working with people who use emotion a lot, and they don't always like what we have to hear or say, like to hear what we have to say. And so, we spoke about that, but that's what makes it all worth it is those text messages, and is the text messages of gratitude of like, I have a client right now that came to me and she's dropped like 25 pounds in 19 weeks and is prepping for an ultra marathon.
That's awesome.
And I know you've experienced this, like the language that starts to get used, the way they talk about themselves, they talk about their life, the things that they're looking forward to, how they show up as a mom, how they're not snapping as much anymore.
Yeah.
It's just different.
It's different. Yeah. It's totally different because then you understand that that's not just transforming their life, that's transforming every person in their lives. You know what I mean? And then it's also changing their legacy. You know what I mean? Because if now their kids are now seeing the things that they're doing, then they're going to be fit and healthy people. And then they're going to pass that down to their kids. And it's like, that's how like a movement is started. You know what I mean? Like that's how true long lasting transformation and change happens, is by the leader of the house or the person who is the role model, like showing their kids what it means to be a fit and healthy person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you attend the same church as I do. And so we have the same pastor, and I know you've probably heard this, like he's talked about it a few times, is like how a destructive person can leave behind decay that can be passed to generation. And it can essentially be a step ladder down.
Yeah.
Of just basically like, you're at the top of the mountain and maybe like you're relatively successful, but you don't take care of your health and fitness and well-being, and your relationships start to go to trash and that can just like slowly but surely like decay your family's legacy for decades and generations to come.
Yeah. But it's the same thing with fitness. You know what I mean? Like whatever like generational traumas that people deal with that are now passed down to their kids outside of fitness, it's the same thing. If you're not a fit and healthy person, like if your family and starting with you are not fit and healthy, you're probably going to pass that exact same thing down to your kids. And then they're going to take that on, and then their grandkids are going to take that on. And it's just sad that that's how, that's why the obesity rates are so high. You know what I mean? It's like all it takes though is one person to make the change. You were that person in your family, I'm going to assume. 100%. You know what I mean? Like one person to be like, no, like we're breaking this right now. Like this is not it. Like there's a better way. You know what I mean? And all that it takes is for someone just to experience it. Because like I'm certain that when someone becomes fit and healthy, when someone actually experiences what it's like, there's a very small chance, unless they did it in a non-natural way,
right,
that they're going to go back to being what they were before.
No.
You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just mind-blowing to me. Again, like I walk around, like Ali and I, we go out to eat, like, we do things, and you just look around and you see how many people are out of shape. It is mind-blowing.
How many people are out of shape, I think, is one. But the other thing that this popped into my head earlier, and I'm glad like something that you said sparked it, is, walking around with your wife, like your wife is 3 or 4 years older than you?
5 years older than me.
5 years older than you.
Yeah.
And she doesn't look it.
No, she's like 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you can appreciate this. You're probably starting to get to an age like myself. Like I think me and Ali are pretty close in age, like within a year.
Yeah.
If that's like the age gap. But you can probably appreciate this even still at your age, is you're probably starting to notice kids that you went to college with, guys that you went to high school with, and you look at them and you're like, bro, like you're the same age as me. But they look 10 years older.
Yeah. Well, but it's also like just where they are physically. Like, it's just like how have you let yourself go like that? You know what I mean? How have people gotten so comfortable? You know what I mean? And like, I don't know what it stems from. Like, I don't know why someone who was extremely fit and healthy in high school can now, 10 years later be like, I'm okay with being, 20 pounds overweight. But that's the thing though, is like, it's not even, it's obviously there's a high obesity rate in America, but it's just being out of shape too. Like, I want to know, and I wish I knew the statistic, the percentage of people that are, obese and like actually clinically obese in America. You know what I mean? Like, for men, that's, from what I understand, above 20% body fat. For females, above 28% body fat is what the obesity standard is. And I look around, and again, it is rare to see someone in public who is very fit and healthy. Like, I feel like it's the anomaly. You 100%. Know what I mean? Like, I'm looking around, I'm like, I can't find the fit and healthy people. I can find the extremely out of shape people all day. Yeah. And it's just sad. You know what I mean? Like,
but, and the thing is like when we see those people, and we're not here to like rag on anyone, because there's multiple reasons that you could have gotten there. Because we just kind of unpacked that. We talked about family, generations, that lifestyle. And it has to be, if that is the case, if that's where it's coming from, it has to be a decision. You have to make a choice of like, hey, the buck stops with me. And believe me, as someone who is that pivot point in my family lineage, like, it's not easy. No, it sucks. Yeah. Because like, I had to go through all of the family ridicule, the being the black sheep of like, no, I'm not going to eat that, or I'm only going to have this portion, or I'm not going to go back for seconds, or, hey, I'm going out for a walk. I made a conscious decision at the beginning of this year. I was home in Minnesota for a month, and I started 75 hard back home in Minnesota, staying at my sister's house, where my family's all still very obese and overweight. Yeah. And they just know, like, I've gone about this journey for so many years. They just know there is no telling me not to. There's no telling me it can be done tomorrow. It is like, hey, Garrett's going off for his 45-minute walk, or hey, Garrett's going to the gym. Like, it is what it is. Yeah. But I want to say is like, for those of you ladies, like, because both me and Jared have coached women who are wives who do have children, and maybe your husband isn't leading your family right now in that aspect of like, he's taking care of his health and wellness, going to the gym, and he's skeptical of you, and maybe he's getting a little upset. We both have walked women through that. We both understand how challenging it can be. But I promise you, the temporary discomfort is worth the long-term reward of teaching your kids that.
Yeah, 100%.
Because as someone who, I grew up fat and obese, my parents realistically knew all the right things. Garrett, you should eat this. Garrett, you should. But then they led by example the complete opposite.
Yeah. You have to show them how to actually do it by doing it yourself. 100%. But you're so right. Like, if the female wants to do it, but the male doesn't want to do it, in the household, the female can't be afraid to do it. Like, she's got to do it. You know what I mean? And like, and obviously in an ideal situation, they both do it together. Yeah. And even more ideal, the man, is already in great shape and, brings the female along with him. But if the female takes control of her physique and her health, then the man in the relationship will eventually have to, you know what I mean? Because she won't settle for someone who is not taking care of their health. Exactly. You know what I mean? In most scenarios, you know what I mean? What I've seen is that it causes turmoil in the relationship if one person takes care of the health, but the other person doesn't. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. So I think eventually in most situations, they will come together and do it together if they want to both be on the same page about that.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to get into a couple like practical questions, but I mean, even talk about that, like with you and the dynamic between your wife, like how important is that to both of you, and how not only how important is it to both of you, but like, how has it impacted the quality of your relationship?
Oh my God.
Because of just the fact that you both work out and
Yeah.
take care of yourself.
Just on a different level. Like, and we both like to push ourselves so hard.
Mhm.
Like, we're both extremely competitive people.
Yeah.
And it's just, I can't even really put into words like how it has improved our relationship.
Yep.
Because like, it's almost like between us, kind of like an unspoken thing where it's like, I'm working out every day. She's working out every day.
Yep.
I'm tracking my food. She's tracking her food. Like, we're going to go play pickleball together. Like, that's just what we do. Like, not since she's been pregnant, but like still like, and she's 30 weeks pregnant right now, still pushing herself harder than 99% of the people in my gym.
Yeah.
Like still, which, there arguably some people might not agree with this, but she's still going for PRs. And I'm like, that's like, it's insane. Like, but it's just like, it's just a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just a different mindset, but like, you're right. It wouldn't have worked out if she wasn't like that. And Allie didn't work out at all, at least strength training, before she met me.
Yeah.
She started strength training when she met me.
Yep.
And so she's only been strength training for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so to see her progress that she's had in 2 years is insane, like absolutely incredible. But in addition to that, like I said, it just wouldn't have worked out. Like if she wouldn't have gotten into strength training like the way that she has, or at least some form of activity, like, and be very addicted to it, like, and I think it's a good addiction, very dedicated is probably a better word. Yeah. It again probably just wouldn't have worked out because it's just I was just up there, and it's like she just caught up really quick. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I mean, I think it's like, it's, we brought this up earlier, like my age, I'm single, I'm dating. And it's like, as I've dated, like I will meet people who are into health and fitness. And it's like, it's so funny because it's just like an automatic. It's like, hey, I'm going to go for a 45-minute walk. And if I'm seeing someone who's into health and fitness, it's so easy. Yeah. Because it's just like it's instinctual to them. They're just like, oh, okay, like let's go for a walk. Yeah. Or, hey, I'm going to the gym. And there's no, oh, you shouldn't go. Like, it's just like, hey, I'll either join you or, hey, have a great workout because I already did my workout or I have something else planned later today. Yeah. It's common ground. It's just very, and it feeds off of that like 100%. Yeah. Like getting into some practical things, like as far as like what are you typically seeing in the gym? This is something that we've done a lot of mentorship on as far as like new nutrition and like setting macros and stuff is like something that I run across and I talk a lot about, and I like to bring it up again is how often do you see people more often than not under eating, which in the long term causes overconsumption in other places. Like, exactly like who I'm talking about. Yeah. I'd say it's probably for us at least as of recently, 50% of our clients. It used to be at least 70 to 80. Yeah. But we've more so recently been getting actual like really big weight loss clients who actually do have overeating problems. Sure. But the majority of the time, like 50% of the time right now, it's under eating, where they're coming in, they're wondering why the composition of their body isn't changing. Like, why aren't they toned? Why aren't they defined? You know what I mean? And they're doing a bunch of cardio, they're eating 1,200 calories a day. Like, they're doing all of the things right that you would think you need to do in order to lose weight. You know what I mean? But really what they're doing is they're under eating. You know what I mean? And they need to consume more calories in order to build the muscle that they want to build so that they can have that toned and defined physique that they're looking for. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, like women between the ages of 30 to 50, I'd probably say at least 50% of them are actually under eating. Mm-hmm. Which can go a couple different ways. We can have the type A who's truly under eating and doing way too much cardio, has this like skinny fat look. They're never going to be toned because they're not consuming enough food. Then we can have the type A, the another girl who's under eating Monday through Friday, but then come Friday, Saturday, Sunday, between night out with the girls, date night, brunch, etc., they put themselves back into a surplus, but they're not getting high quality nutrients. Yeah. And so there again, their body composition is suffering. They're not losing weight, but they're dieting and they're eating 1,200 calories.
Yeah. Yeah. Just inconsistency.
Just the inconsistency factor.
And like, yeah, you're right. Like they'll eat 1,200 calories during the week, but then they make up for it by having, 6, 7, 8,000 calories on the weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're right. Like it's all alcohol, it's all fried foods, processed foods, like whatever it may be. So yeah, like the work that they do the 5 days of the week means nothing.
Yeah.
It means nothing if they're going to go and do that on the weekends.
Yeah. And talk about, so I didn't know this, that you've been dealing with a little bit more like big weight loss. This has been brought up on a recent episode, is like, I'm working with a client who, has more weight to lose. And I was like monitoring her nutrition, and I just noticed a consistent factor of her food was like too low. And so therefore she was going off the rails a lot, right? Like opting for, like you said, fried foods or less than ideal nutritional choices. And I bumped her calories by 250. She was still in a deficit. But all of a sudden she had the energy, because like she was eating such low calories and trying to stay there. And then you compound the fact that she was eating less than ideal nutrition choices, right? So lacking a lot of vitamins, nutrients, and minerals. So we're not just dealing with a caloric deficit, we're dealing with like a vitamin and nutrient deficiency. And so she'd get home and she'd like pass out on the chair. Like she'd not even take her coat off. So she wasn't getting her steps in. She was struggling to make it to her PT sessions. And we increased her food by 250 calories. And now she's actually down like 10 pounds with more food.
Yeah.
But she nails her steps. She doesn't miss her PT sessions anymore. And for the most part, she's making higher quality nutrition choices and getting in the nutrients that she needs.
Yeah.
How often would you say that you see that? Because I feel like especially women in that demographic of like, they have 50 pounds to lose.
Yeah.
They will just immediately, like, they see their counterparts who are thinner and they're like, well, Susie eats 1,500 calories and she looks that way and I want to look like Susie, so I'm going to eat 1,500 calories. But then she comes and sees Jared, right, at Altered Athletics, and they're training 3 to 5 days a week.
Yeah.
You're asking them to get 10,000 steps a day. They're not like, there's a massive deficiency there.
And, I think when someone is in that situation and they want to immediately go for like the quick weight loss, they very quickly realize that it's not sustainable.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like taking someone who's eating 3,000 calories a day, on average, and then dropping them down to 1,500, it's not going to last. Like it might last for like 2, 3, 4 weeks max.
Yeah.
But then they're going to immediately start binging or, going and, they're not going to hit their calories. Like it's just not going to happen. So our approach is always just slow and steady. You know what I mean? Like slow and steady always in this situation wins the race, because what we're trying to do is build lifestyles. You know what I mean? Build lifestyles, build this into a lifestyle for these people. Exactly. We're not here for quick transformations. You know what I mean? Like we, of course, would love that. You know what I mean? If someone wants that and is really dedicated to it, then we can do that. But for instance, like I've got a woman who, we just reverse dieted her up to like 2,100 calories. Similar situation, came in eating 1,200 calories, wasn't losing any weight. So we reverse dieted her up to 2,100. Body weight stayed the same. Composition of the body changed drastically. But now she wants to actually start, getting leaner and like dropping the body fat. You know what I mean? And so we've dropped her down to 1,800. And so 300 calories, nothing crazy, but she's already hungry. She's already hungry. And it's like, okay, so we're not going to change the calories. We're going to stay there for a little bit. We're going to focus on getting more whole processed foods in, drinking enough water, get your body more acclimated to eating this amount of calories. And then we're going to drop the calories. Because if you're already hungry, it's not going to last if we drop you down to 1,500 calories. You know what I mean? Like you might lose, 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 pounds. But again, then you're going to go right back to binging and you're going to be right back up to the way you're at. So slow and steady, in my opinion, always wins the race with weight loss, specifically 100%. With women.
And that's why the rule of thumb that I have with all of my clients, if I make a change, it's 2 weeks minimum.
Yeah.
Because I'm never going to panic adjust after 1 week. It's like, what happened after week 2?
Yeah.
Like, where are we at?
Yeah.
And I just keep going with that. And like, you know, sometimes like realistically, like this specific client that you're talking about, she could continue to lose weight at 1,800 calories for the next 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Like as long as her activity stays up, she's continuing to strength train. Like it's very, very possible.
It's possible.
I know you've seen it.
Yeah.
On that note, something, this will be an interesting question. What's the highest calories you've ever had a female athlete at?
My wife eating 2,800 calories.
Okay.
Which is like a lot, but it's not like, you know, anything crazy. Like I'm sure we could get some people inside of our gym eating more than that for sure. But, you know, Allie went from 120 pounds to 145 pounds.
Yeah.
Of like, she gained 25 pounds.
Yeah.
And we took her from same situation, 1,200 up to 2,800.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, we could have kept her going, but like she didn't want to gain any more weight. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, like people, like women can eat a lot of food.
A lot. My highest ever, 5'7", 138 pound athlete, in peak riding season. So she was a distance, cyclist. 3,600 calories was maintenance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maintenance.
Yeah.
Kept her the same weight.
Yeah.
And I think we still managed to, I think she was dieting on like 2,400 calories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some women just have a really hard time eating that much food.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like
it's not easy.
No. And like, even like what I have found is like the threshold is like over 2,000 calories is pretty hard for a majority of women to eat. Like women who are busy, you know, business owners, family, like things like that. Like it's hard to get over 2,000 calories a day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Like a lot of women can be eating a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And the sad part is if they really want to see change to their physique, like if they really want to build muscle, like those women who can eat a lot of food, but can't. What I'm saying is the women who their bodies would allow them to eat that much food, but simply can't because they just can't.
Yeah.
They will struggle to build the muscle that they want to build.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They'll struggle to achieve something that I went to a conference back in March, and something that's really become, I think it was always a thought in the back of my mind, but I kind of received some confirmation from some female colleagues, is something that, and I think you will agree with this tenfold, being the amount of females that you train, what you do as a company, is majority of women need to eat maintenance calories for an entire year. And not like literally you don't even think about a diet.
Yeah.
You need to eat maintenance calories for a year.
Yeah.
And you need to train your face off.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a year, you will have a physique that you will not recognize.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can peel back a couple layers. And then my favorite part about that is like, if you can really get the buy-in there, if you can get someone to go, hey, a year of maintenance and then do a diet, is a lot of times like basically like that's the last diet of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Train, eat maintenance for a year, train really hard, do one 12 to 16 week diet, feed back up to maintenance calories. And most likely you probably have the physique of your dreams, and you will, the only time you need to diet is like at that point, you will have built such a substantial control of like your nutrition, your physique overall. The only time you need to diet is like maybe you diet for special occasions.
Yeah.
Because like you just want to show up just like
a little bit more shredded.
A little bit more shredded.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
So it's like if we can really, as coaches, continue to speak on that platform and tell women, hey, just 1 year, give us 1 year and eat maintenance and train hard. We can have a lot more women who just like, they can completely reject this diet culture, this starving, cutting out entire food groups.
Yeah, it's true.
What is, on that note, actually, that makes a great kind of question is, as a coach, what are you finding the most success with when it comes to women and their nutrition? Is it carnivore? Is it keto? Or is it just simply eating real whole foods and not cutting out any food group?
It's just eating real whole foods.
Yeah.
Like we don't do any fad diets. We don't do keto. We don't do, we don't do carnivore. We definitely, I mean, some women do vegan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Vegetarian, but like, I'm personally not a promoter of vegan
Right.
or vegetarian, but
Yep.
yeah, we don't do any fad diets. Like let's just eat whole quality foods.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And eat a variety of foods and eat a pretty much evenly distributed like amount of macros too. You know what I mean? Like get your body weight in protein.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You know, let's keep the fat relatively lower and then let's keep the carbs high. You know what I mean? Like that's all we do. Like it's nothing crazy. Like the plan that we have our women on for nutrition is nothing out of this universe.
No.
It is just basic nutrition.
Talk about the importance of like carbohydrates for the workouts. Like what do you, because I'm sure you've had athletes who come in that maybe they don't want you to manage their nutrition and they don't have you, and you watch them perform like trash week over week. And then all of a sudden you take over their nutrition and you're like, hey, like, here's carbs. And they're like, oh my God.
Yeah. So we don't have much of that anymore, to be completely honest, just because our program is a comprehensive program now. Like everyone that gets signed with us is training, nutrition, accountability. Yeah. Like they're getting all three of those things regardless of whether they want it or not.
Right.
And, so, you know, and we do weekly check-ins. So every week, every client's getting reached out to. Where's your body weight? Where's your hunger? Where's your energy? Where's your mood? Like, how are you feeling? Like, let's look at your nutrition log, like deep diving in with their trainer. And so, you know, we can tell really quickly, like if someone is not eating the amount of food that they should be eating, because you're right, like their performance suffers, their energy level suffer. They're not as strong as they, you know, were the week before. They're not progressing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, carbs are super important. Like women need to be eating carbs. They need to be consuming them so that they can perform well in their workouts. But yeah, to answer your question, like we can tell real quick and we'll make sure that you're eating your food if the performance is suffering.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
This was a question that is now going to be a staple in the show is, how are you living your life intentionally in this season of your life?
Well, for me, it's been the most transformative year and a half of my entire life. You know what I mean? The most amount of blessings I can't even comprehend how many blessings I've been given over the past year and a half. But I'm about to go through a huge change and I'm about to have my first kid, which is pretty crazy. Something that I didn't think would happen for a long period of time. So intentionally wise, it's a great question. I'm just making sure that every single thing that I do on a daily basis is moving the needle forward for myself. You know what I mean? Whether that be with the business, whether that be with my relationship with my wife, whether that be with my relationships with my trainers, like every interaction that I have, I try my absolute hardest for it to be an intentional interaction. And, you know, as we've talked about, I'm a spiritual person. I always ask God to guide me, direct me, and magnify himself within me so that I know that every single interaction that I have is the way that he would want me to respond and react in that situation. And he is the one telling me what I need to do every single day. He told me, come and do this podcast. So I came and did it. You know what I mean? Like every single thing that I do, I'm trying to be as intentional as possible and do only things that matter.
With that being said, how much do you feel that has giving you the blessings that you've experienced over the last 18 months? And what does that like look like even moving forward?
Yeah. I mean, it's everything. It's literally everything. And like, I have to thank my wife for, you know, for a lot of it, because she is the one. And I, again, believe that God has spoke through her and she has told me this from him. You have to be more careful with your time. Like you have to really look at what you're doing on a daily basis and ask yourself, are those things that need to be done? Like, are those things that are important? Like, are they actually meaningful? Like, do you need to be spending your time doing those things? Like, and because of that, because of me being more intentional with my time, and it's crazy. I was just thinking about this yesterday. Like my business is doing better now than it's ever done in the last 5 years of business. We're nowhere near where we're going to be. We're not even, I don't think we're even 5% of what we're going to be. But I'm doing less work now than I've ever done in my entire life. And like, I'm still working a lot, but like I'm doing less work. I'm spending way more time with my wife, with my own activities. Like, I have an actual life. You know what I mean? Like, which is crazy. Like when I first started Alter, like it was work every day, 7 days a week. Like, no, you can't do anything for yourself. Now it's like, yeah, I work 5 days a week. Like I work, 10 to 12 hours a day and those 5 days a week, but then Saturdays and Sundays, I do nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, it's my time to spend with my wife. That's my time to go play pickleball. Like that's my time to, go eat food. Like, and that's like amazing. Like it's the best life I could ever ask for. And I literally wake up every single day and I'm just like, wow, like, I'm so grateful. This is my life. Like, this is so awesome. And I know that it's only going to continue to get better and better and better. And I know there's going to be trials, there's going to be tribulations, but like, I always know that everything in the end is going to be okay.
100%.
And that we will 1000% achieve everything that we want to achieve.
Absolutely.
And I just can't wait for in 3 years from now when this podcast is blown up.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back on an episode.
100%.
And be like, look what we did in the last 3 years.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you, man. Thank you for coming on.
Of course.
With that being said, that's wrapping up another episode of the Intentional Health for Women podcast. I'm your host. Have a great day.